Look, it's just time to ban Muslim immigration, okay? Particularly no taking refugees. Look, Syria is just getting bombed to fuck. Yemen's getting bombed to fuck. Somalia's getting bombed to fuck. There's refugees everywhere. Now, a lot of people think the moral thing to do is to take them in because we can. We have room for them. We have money for them. We can help these people. See, Germany thought the same thing. France thought the same thing. Britain thought the same thing. They have massive amounts of Muslim population. Huge. Okay, London is one of the second largest Muslim populations in the world in terms of just a city per capita. And what is happening on a near weekly basis in Europe? Terrorist attacks that kill dozens, if not hundreds of people. Committed by the people that they let into their borders. There's cargo trucks being taken over. Women are being raped by the hundreds, if not thousands. There's physical attacks. These people are not integrating. They're simply sucking off the government teat. Okay, most of them are living on welfare or being fostered by generous families. And of course, hashtag not all. But look, the fact of the matter is, due to the current state of warfare in the Middle East and what it's producing in terms of radicalizing people in the whole of Europe, simply has to do with the fact that Islam and the concept of Sharia, the concept of the caliphate, the concept of Islamic-controlled government is fully incompatible with the West. It's simply, these people can't integrate. And that there will always be the risk for terrorism, because Islam, okay, I'm going to continuously stress that I'm talking about a religion that has a profound effect on people who are devoted to it, okay, that basically these people will always think that it's preferable to have an Islamic government rather than a Western one. They will always resent Western control. They'll always resent a nation where they don't speak Arabic and where there is any other religion other than mosques, where there's anybody who's Jewish. And the fact of the matter is, forget Europe. If we talk about the United States is involved directly in multiple wars in the Middle East. We are directly involved in the combat between Saudi Arabia and Yemen. We're directly involved in Syria and Libya. We're directly involved with dealing with ISIS in Iraq. And there is a tremendous risk to the civilian populace of any country that allows massive Muslim immigration, because there'll always be somebody, at least, who is influenced by the jihad that's going on, that there's all these people who think that the righteous and holy and dutiful and honorable thing to do is to be somehow engaged in this struggle to spread the right kind of Islam, whatever they think it is. And the majority of Muslims are part of Sunni, and virtually every terrorist group there is part of way larger than anybody's willing to admit populations of Salafis, Wahhabists, who view terrorism as a completely viable technique, where they're either indifferent to it or supportive of it in terms of spreading the influence of Islam. So what you're getting here is you're going to be inviting these people into your country. You're going to pay for them to live. You're going to pay for them to be housed, to be clothed, to be fed on the tax dollar. We're just going to implant these people in our country. And meanwhile, our country is involved in warfare all over where they just came from. And not only that, but America is playing both sides very frequently. We are arming jihadists. We have flip-flopped between support of Assad and support of the rebels that are fighting Assad. And the majority of people fighting Assad are ISIS. You got Russia involved, where, you know, a Russian ambassador was just recently shot and killed by a Turkish national who was a fucking off-duty police officer who was security for the event in which the ambassador was shot. And so now Turkey's involved in this, and Turkey is on the brink of war with Russia, and due to our America's involvement in NATO, and Turkey is part of NATO, and Russia is not, that could fucking start a fucking World War III type scenario. Meanwhile, there's terrorism going on constantly. Everywhere you look, especially in Germany, you're seeing Germany just accommodate millions of these people and then experience constant terrorism. Same with France. France is just about done with Muslims because hundreds of people have been killed by terrorism in France in just the past year and a half. It's ridiculous. It's insane. They're basically under attack by their own fucking populace. So you could say that the moral thing to do is take refugees because we can help them. But the fact of the matter is we shouldn't have any obligation to, and we shouldn't have any obligation to put American citizens at risk by inviting potentially radicalized people into our country who have every fucking ideological reason to just start randomly attacking who knows what the fuck anywhere, you know. And we'll have another Pulse nightclub shooting. We will. Germany will experience continuous terrorism, and so will France, until they have to make the hard decision, the unpalatable and distasteful decision, which is to stop taking in refugees, to actually profile and surveil refugees. Honestly, being under constant surveillance is a small price to pay for getting to flee an absolute bombed out fucking war zone, to live in a free Western society where people take care of you. But if it's so absolutely unreasonable to surveil these people, and if we absolutely have to fucking take them, then what else do you expect but for terrorism to start occurring more and more and more? The fact of the matter is that Islam is a barbaric and savage religion that is completely incompatible with not just Western society, but modernity. These people are savages, medieval fucking savages. Okay? And of course, there's always going to be good Muslims who mind their own business and don't do nothing. Because ultimately, people, by and large, mind their own business and don't do nothing. They whether they are ambivalent or supportive of terrorism or not, it takes a special kind of person to go all the way. But what Islam asks of those who would go all the way for the faith is jihad, is to dehumanize everyone who's not part of your Islamic group. And these people kill each other by the hundreds of thousands. Yeah, and I know full well that the number one victim of Islam is other Muslims. But nobody should have to endure that shit. Not the Muslims, not anybody else. But the fact of the matter is, nations have a responsibility unto themselves, more so than they have onto people who want to emigrate. And if the risk is so fucking tremendous, and it is undeniably a tremendous risk to accept Muslim immigrants, then I think we shouldn't take them. I'm not saying to do anything to the Muslims who are already here, the people who've been here for generations minding their own business, even the people who've emigrated recently, but no additional risk should be taken. It's just a sensible thing. It sounds distasteful, it sounds racist or bigoted or whatever, but the fact of the matter is people are dying. People are being murdered in the streets, run down by trucks, stabbed to death, burned to death, acid thrown in their faces, kicked downstairs, raped. The violence, the risk, the threat is absolutely real, and to deny that is more ridiculous and bigoted and biased and stupid than to come out and say, as distasteful it is, as much as I don't want to have to be the guy to say it, I like to believe in the goodness of people, and I like to believe that everybody can be trusted to mind their own business, and that if people want to be Muslim, they can be Muslim, or Christian, they can be Christian. But the fact of the matter is, religion is poison, and the most toxic, virulent, and absolutely deadly religion poison is Islam. Period. And people should be more open to what seems like more extreme measures. All right? I, as a non-interventionalist, would like to just not be involved in these wars, to have neither a charitable or an offensive wartime involvement. I think that these people should be allowed to eat each other in their own sovereign nations, and us as a sovereign nation should be allowed to stay out of it unless it directly affects us. And honestly, that's even another difficult question that I don't want to go into here because I've already been talking for 10 minutes. But the fact of the matter is, the question of Islam doesn't have a final solution. All right? There's a really unpalatable phrase. But we should be okay with shutting the doors to this shit. And also, we should be okay with reducing interference and involvement in these civil wars. Because getting involved is what turns their eyes on us in the first place. The man who orchestrated 9/11, Osama bin Laden, was a CIA asset with the Mujahideen in the Afghan-Soviet war in the 80s. Okay? We armed him. We armed Al-Qaeda to fight Russia. And now that we've armed them to fight Assad, and then what do? They attack the West. They attack the West. They attack Assad. They attack each other. They attack the West. Violence. Everywhere. Destruction. Everywhere. We shouldn't feel obligated to invite even the risk of it, even a small risk of it, by accepting refugees. They should be put elsewhere. Or, if we invite them in, they should have different rules. I honestly think there should be something in place where they have to earn a citizenship, even if we put them in here. And until they're citizens, they don't get the same rights we do. Especially not the ones to not be surveilled. Because they are that much of a risk. Okay? That's just the way it is. I don't like to have to say that. I don't take any pride or any sort of glee in saying something that's gross and scary and even almost Orwellian. But the alternative is mass murder in the streets. Us spoiled and pampered and entitled people in America can't even imagine what the wealthy westernized people of Europe are dealing with, because we are largely isolated from this kind of monstrous chaos that's going on. But the more we would increase our own Muslim population, the more our situation would mirror that of France and Germany and Sweden. It's just the way it is. It's the inconvenient truth. Thanks for watching.